First, I want to introduce myself. My name's Christy. I own a business called Time to Profit. And in that business, I work with business owners to help them create more consistent cash flow and predictable profits by embracing outbound proactive sales and getting really comfortable and successful at utilizing sales in their business. The reason I wanted to do this call today, this workshop, whatever, it doesn't really matter what I call it, is because so many people have been reaching out and asking questions, given what's happening in the world today, that, everyone's being quarantined, people are having to shut down their businesses, there's a lot of fear. Should I still be actively selling in my business? And I think that is a question that takes some discernment depending on what type of business you have and what type of offerings you're making. But I will say, just the first thing that I want to share is that absolutely, I think if your business is positioned to continue to be of service to your clients during this time frame, you should be selling. And not only should you be selling, but you have an obligation to your customers to keep showing up. The worst thing that can happen is if every small business owner takes a pause, shuts down, that does more damage to our economy than if we keep showing up in the ways that we can with the heart of service behind it. So I just want to say that first and foremost, that is where my thinking is on this topic. And there are some businesses where that's easier to do than others. So I would love to just hear from you guys, Celeste and Shannon, when you're thinking about your business and what's happening right now, if you were going to boil down into 2 to 3 sentences, your thinking, your concerns around selling right now, what would those be?
One thing I'm seeing, one thing we're getting told from kind of the gurus, leaders, whatever you want to call them we follow, is now really isn't the time to sell, but offer value.
Okay.
Or offer a discount.
Okay.
And so I'm going the route of just offering value right now. And okay. I don't sell things. I only sell things twice a year. So okay. I'm not in sell mode, but I'm in serve mode is basically where I'm at. And that's different because I run a little differently. My business is referral based, so I don't really do much selling. So that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. So when you were kind of saw what we were talking about today, what was it that had you curious or wanting to hop on and be on the call? What are you hoping to get out of today's conversation?
I just want to hear what you have to say.
Awesome.
To support you.
Yeah, pretty much same here. I kind of just wanted to meet you and kind of hear your take on the current events. And as far as any specific worries about selling right now for my business, we work on larger projects. So definitely part of it is, for the times that we do have to enter people's homes or immediate surroundings. And another concern of mine is having these larger construction projects or construction design projects, having people delay them. And then once this is over, having a really long list of backed up projects, especially when it comes to like city permit offices and, that situation.
That just because, we go back to normal, that there's still going to be effects from that are going to impact your business. Is that what you're saying, Celeste?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's interesting because you're absolutely right. And I don't think we'll ever go back to a new normal or to the normal we had before. I think this is going to shift the way that we see the world, the way that we communicate, the way that we run businesses. That after an experience like this, people are asking themselves different questions than they were before an experience like this. And that's true of your clients too. And so my take on it is that as a business owner, when you decided to open a business, you de facto decided to be a leader, right? In some sense, whether it's leading your customers, whether it's leading your team, whether it's leading yourself. And now is the time to step up and lead, and to really be thinking strategically about what does that look like for my customers 2 years from now, or 2 months from now, 6 months from now, 18 months from now, maybe even 2 years from now. And how can I help them navigate that more effectively? So the first thing that I would say is, so I think Shannon, you were the one that said you're hearing a lot of people say now is not the time to be selling. And here's the reason why I disagree with that, is it depends on, I don't think there's a black and white yes or no answer. I think it depends on what your business is. And the questions that I would recommend asking is it still possible to deliver what you offer in a way that is safe and, excuse me, safe and responsible? So that's the first question. So, for example, if your business was a brick and mortar hair salon, offering haircuts this week in terms of proactive selling is probably not appropriate. And I shouldn't say probably, it's not appropriate, because you can't service those clients in a way that is of value. But if you are offering social media services and you have businesses now that recognize there's this tremendous opportunity that people are online more than they've ever been before, the cost of Facebook ads is dropping tremendously, that there is an opportunity for your customers to connect with more people and more deeply than there has before, I think there's absolutely, you should be selling. So
that's a really good point. So this week alone, I've had, so like I said, it's referral base. And this week alone, I've had every day a business ping me. I mean, like I said, I don't seek out for the social media strategy part. I seek out more for the coaching. But I have seen an uptick, and I have seen social media strategists that I know across the country lose clients, but they're more of the service-based, restaurant-based.
Absolutely.
I only have a hotel, and that's really a hotel and they are like, we need to keep things going and be relevant. And another, like a food cart lot that I work with, and they're really trying to, communicate that they're still open and things like that. So there is a tremendous need. Facebook, there's a huge uptick on Facebook. I just actually went and looked at the stats over the last 10 days, and Facebook's having a comeback. So
everyone's at home and on Facebook. And that's the mindset I want you guys thinking about when it comes to, should you be selling right now, is what you're offering needed more or less in the current landscape? And I would say for you, Shannon, it's more, 100%. Celeste, what would you say for your customers and your businesses? Do you feel like it's more or less?
In a way, I feel like it's either the same or more. People are spending more time in their home right now, and possibly getting, tired of their surroundings, maybe wanting a change, or maybe they're noticing some issues within their design or, functionality of their space. And I do offer like virtual design services. So yeah. I mean, I don't think it's hopeless at this point, that's for sure.
Yeah. And I would say on top of that, there's probably, people are in their house more, so they're noticing things more, but there's also probably a lot of people who've wanted to do things for a long time, but haven't had the time to do it. And they might not ever have a time like this again where they can do it.
True.
And so in my way of thinking is kind of to put it in reverse, whereas if you're not selling, are you doing a disservice to your potential clients? And I would say for both of your business, that answer is potentially yes. So the next question that I would ask, kind of leading from that standpoint, is how will it help during this time? How will it help your customers? How will it help the community at large? Do either of you guys want to share some thoughts on that?
Are you asking how will us continuing to sell and be present in our businesses help? Is that
I'm
right?
asking, which that's a great question too. And I think it's one that every business owner should be asking themselves every single morning when we kind of want to maybe, back away and hide a little bit. But how will what you offer? So how will design services help your customers, potential customers, and the general community right now?
I just communicating the right messaging is key right now.
Yeah.
I mean, this is something I think about every day. I'm not one of those social media strategists that makes up things to post. Like, the Subaru dealership will post, it's National Pizza Day. What's that have to do with buying a Subaru? So being really intentional with what you're posting online is kind of where I'm at. I'm actually, I had a client just email me. I might be in and out of this, but we were just having this discussion because they're a digital media company that is an authority on buying organic, everything organic. And, her regular scheduled content, I basically said, like, do you have anything that would deal with crisis or immune boosting? Like, that's what we need to be focusing on right now, not, skiing in the Swiss Alps, because nobody can do that.
Right. Yeah.
So being really intentional with your marketing is key right now.
Yes. And the ability to help your customers be able to do that. And same thing, Celeste, where if you put yourself in the shoes of a potential client who, tell me a little bit, Celeste, if you don't mind. I'm kind of putting you guys on the spot right now so that it's interactive, but tell me a little bit about, what does your ideal client look like?
Well, I mean, I feel like I have a couple of ideal clients. Ironically, a lot of them are vacation homeowners here in Central Oregon.
Okay.
But even them, my ideal client in that scenario specifically is, a couple that is fairly secure financially, maybe, nearing retirement, and bought an investment property, and they're not there full time, they're ready to invest in it and do a small remodel or aesthetic facelift for that property, in hopes of getting that return maybe next year, maybe not this year. So that would definitely be an ideal client right now, considering the circumstances.
Yeah. And then who would you say your other one is? You said you had two.
Well, I guess it's because we've got two sides to our business here. Yeah, so that's more what I was speaking to. I'd say the other ideal client are people who are at home, especially with the ice and the snow that we just received. Thinking about maybe putting a gate or a handrail or something that needs to be custom made for the metalwork side of our business. That's something that we can do at a distance, and it requires very minimal on-site time.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So tell me a little bit about what your customers are experiencing, because this is the next question that I think every business owner should be asking. So is it possible to deliver what you do in a way that is safe and responsible? Is the need greater, lesser, or the same? How will it help during this time? And what are your customers experiencing? What does their reality look like, and how is it different today than it was 2 weeks ago? So for me, I'll just kind of use an example. What's different for me from my customers is a couple of things. One, there's a lot more uncertainty in their business than there was 2 weeks ago. That a lot of, I've been working on a sales training program for a hospitality company that has 7 hotels. Their business has disappeared overnight, like in terms of bookings and contracts. And so their whole reality of how they're going about sales they were getting ready to do a March Madness Blitz, right? And that it's completely changed. So now what they're thinking about is how do we maintain and build relationships with the people that we're going to want to book events 2, 3, 6 months from now. Do you either of you guys have a sense of how your customers' lives and what are different and what they're experiencing right now?
Yes, I've talked to most of them, and with the exception of the hotel and the food cart lot, it's business as usual. And we're just tweaking their messaging here and there. They don't seem worried, which I think I'm more worried than they are, to be really honest. Because they're all small business owners.
Yeah.
Not large corporations. So, but you know, my gal that sells online skincare, she said that her sales have been up this week.
Which doesn't surprise me at all because people are at home and they're bored. So they're going to go shopping online. Like I can tell you, I've bought some random things online this week.
I've bought nothing. I bought a book. That's all I bought. So
yeah, you did buy something. I think you probably have less of a shopping problem. So I think that's important to notice that you have a big segment of your audience that their life isn't that much different than it was before. But now they maybe have more opportunity to get in front of their customers in a way that they didn't have before, or in a way that people are paying more attention to. And so how can you take advantage of that opportunity for that customer of yours? Celeste, did you have anything that you wanted to share about how your customers, what your customers might be experiencing?
You know, the only thing that I have really noticed, since we're just a couple of weeks in so far, is again, like local small businesses, that maybe we were kind of in the middle of a small design or a custom piece, you know, for their restaurant or yoga studio. They definitely have been a little more hesitant to move forward. So that's, I'd say that's the biggest change, is the local small business owners, which is basically what Shannon just said too. So we've had a very similar experience in that way.
Do you have some yoga studios that you had some proposals out to and kind of were in a negotiation phase with, it sounds like?
Yeah. So we had a physical therapist office and a yoga studio where we got a deposit and kind of went through some of the design phase, but then it's kind of got, you know, now it's kind of on pause. Yeah.
And so the way that I look at it is there's going to be two camps that come out of this from a small business standpoint. There's going to be people who either because of whether or not your business is shut down and can't see customers doesn't have anything to do with whether or not you can keep showing up for your business. If you're a restaurant owner, what are the things that you can be doing that you had on the back burner so that when you reopen, you're ready to go and be better positioned than you were before this happened? Same thing as a yoga studio. And so there's going to be business owners who are thinking that way, who are thinking, this is going to hurt, this is going to be painful, this is going to affect my bottom line, this is going to affect my financials. There is going to be an impact, but I'm also going to utilize the time that I have so that when things open back up, I can make the most of the downtime that I had. And then there's going to be others that are going to say, I have so much uncertainty, I'm just going to wait and see. My sense is the business owners who continue to show up for their business are the ones that are going to thrive when things open back up and we reemerge from this situation. And so those are hard conversations sometimes to have with your clients, but I always say sales is leadership. It's all it is. It's leading a conversation and doing it in a way that's in the best interest and rewarding for you as a business owner and for your customers. And so I'm going to use this yoga studio example. There's going to be some yoga studios where they truly don't have the capital now to move forward, that they would love to, but they don't have the capital. So then you can start to be creative of, How confident are they that they're going to have the capital 6 months, 12 months from now? Can you work out some flexible payment options, but still do the work now? So that when everyone starts doing stuff again, you have extra revenue that came in from that. Or do they have still some capital put aside and they want to utilize this time to not have downtime in the studio and have the studio up the way they want it when we reopen? As you guys are thinking through this, what questions or thoughts are emerging for you?
I don't know. I think what you just said is a really great point in terms of the interior design portion of our company. You know, it is, especially for businesses, it's empty. It would be a wonderful time to get in there and get on our schedule, you know, while we have some openings. So that might be a really great angle, you know, to put that out there and offer that like flexibility to our clients.
Yeah. That we want to help you use this time in a productive way for your business, but we're also sensitive to the fact that your cash flow situation has changed. So if you'd like to take advantage of this time to do these upgrades that we've been talking about, we are offering some flexible payment options for you. Is that something you'd be interested in hearing about?
Yeah, it's great. Thanks.
You're welcome. And I just want to really encourage every business owner to be thinking about these things and asking yourselves the hard questions versus just defaulting to, we're just going to wait and see what happens, and then miss an opportunity to be of service to your clients when it would actually be in their best interest to maybe take an action now. That there are opportunities for them that will help them in the long term if we can be there. So the next question that I think is really important that every business owner is asking is, how can you connect and engage with your clients and potential clients right now? So sometimes this might be, Shannon, to your point, I think showing up and offering value is tremendously important right now. I think it is always important, but I think you can show up, add value, and serve, and even put out free offerings and also be simultaneously selling. Those things can happen at the same time. So I'll use an example of, I have a client who owns an insurance brokerage with offices in Washington and Oregon. And for them, their business isn't impacted because they have a passive revenue, essentially, where your insurance renews. People aren't really making big insurance changes right now. They're not canceling their insurance. But their customers are probably stressed, so they should be reaching out proactively to deepen those relationships with those customers. So even just a phone call to say, hey, we just want to let you know we're here for you. We're open. If anything happens, please let us know how we can be of service to you. It's not an active selling conversation, but it is a connection conversation. So I did a video on this yesterday, but just some tools to use to connect. What are your guys' thoughts on ways that you can connect and engage with your clients and potential clients right now?
I'm definitely using Instagram, which I've always used. And because of the nature of our work, you know, getting those photos out there, we've always had a really great connection with other business owners and, you know, residences here in Bend, just through Instagram and Facebook as well.
Yeah. I think too, you know, and I don't know if this is just kind of what you're thinking about right now because what's happening, but if you have clients in the service industries, even posting about their business and, you know, on your personal page or on your business pages, encouraging people to buy gift certificates, that can go a long way too in terms of building goodwill.
Definitely. I've been kind of sharing other locally owned businesses if they're running any kind of online workshops or offering any kind of a discount, or just to see what they're up to, what they're doing online, and sharing that in our stories on Instagram through our business account. And that's been really great.
Awesome. Yeah. And so I'm a big believer in when I say, how can you connect and engage with clients and potential clients? I feel like all of us have our preferred method of communication. So mine would be email. Like if I was only going to communicate one way with people, email is just what I like to do. And so I get stuck just emailing people, and I forget that there are other ways that I can connect and engage with my customers. Things like picking up the phone and actually calling them. And I'm trying to really do that this week with all of my prospects and customers, just making that personal phone call. Hey, just want to check in and see how you're doing. And having that, people are at home, having a break from their kids sometimes and hearing another adult. Those types of things can go a long way. I also love BombBomb. Do either of you guys use BombBomb?
I use Loom instead of BombBomb.
Do you? I use
Yeah.
Loom too, but I use them differently.
Yeah, I didn't want to pay for another service, so
Yeah.
I just use Loom, just like you would use BombBomb.
Yeah. Do you know BombBomb, Celeste?
No, I don't know either of these, so I'm taking notes here.
So BombBomb is it's basically a email platform it's a video platform designed so that you can easily send videos to your customers, and they're meant to be very quick 1-minute videos where they have the whole interface, so that's not like they're not large files, so you're just sending it. It's embedded in the email. You can send them by text as well, where it's just, hey, this is Celeste. I just had this idea for this project that we'd been talking about. I know you've got a lot on your plate right now. Looking forward to connecting next week, whatever your message is. And then they see your face saying it versus seeing it on the email. So it adds that personal touch and connection.
Okay, great.
And then the other one is Loom, which is another video recording service. And Shannon, correct me if I'm wrong, but the difference with Loom is it's not going to embed the video in the email. You're going to send the link of the video.
It sends the link of the video to the person, and then you know when they opened it and how many times they opened it.
Yeah. And same with BombBomb, which is cool because people are like, oh, they clicked the video. And from a sales standpoint, to be able to have that kind of tracking where if you see someone's opened that video and then to be able to call them maybe within 30 minutes of when they've watched the video. Oh, I just watched your email. Oh, great. Like, I was hoping we'd be able to connect on this. So there's just some really great technology tools that I think personally are more important now than ever, because we are not getting the same amount of personal connection that we do in our normal lives. So anything that gives people a sense of that connection, I think adds tremendous value in deeper ways than it would in a normal scenario. And then, of course, you can always handwrite your clients' letters, thank you cards, checking in cards, uplifting cards. So there's a lot of and the reason I wrote this is I think sometimes we can get into a mindset of the way I like to do my business is to have a meeting with somebody and meet them in person. So now that I'm not doing that, it can be easy to feel like I can't connect with my customers when there are still lots of different ways that I can connect with my customers and potential customers. What other thoughts do you guys have around this topic of should you be selling right now? Do you feel like you have clarity on for each of your businesses if you should be actively and proactively selling, or is there something that you want to ask or are unsure or feel uneasy about?
I'm trying to think. It's Wednesday and it feels like it's Friday. Like I am having the toughest time, like getting my butt in gear. I am just like, it
feels like every day feels like a week.
Right? Yes, it does. It feels like a week.
So we're 3 weeks into this crisis now.
Yeah. I mean, I've been home from San Diego 2 weeks now, so I kind of feel like
crazy.
I can kind of I don't know. I just can't believe 2 weeks ago I was in San Diego and I had all these ideas when I came back from my conference, and now I'm like, well, crap.
I think social media is still incredibly important right now, but this is actually another reason I wanted to have this call, is that people are craving connection right now.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think when we actually take it offline and we make that, so, and not just offline, like in terms of not using email or not using social, but instead of just, you know, having great posts and selling through stories and using our videos, but actually reaching out on a one-to-one basis. Hi, Shannon, how are you? I see you. Are you struggling with this? Is so much more powerful now than it ever has been before, and so much more needed for all of us. We all have the need to be seen, heard, and by actually proactively engaging in sales, you're filling that need for your potential customers, and you're doing it from a heart of service.
Mhm.
So,
Totally.
Vanessa, do you have any other like questions, thoughts on if you should be selling right now?
You know, I agree with Shannon. Like this Wednesday has felt like 4 Wednesdays in a row. It's been quite a long day. So I was thinking about what you asked, and I think the only other thing that maybe I've been hesitant about selling would be some of the, the thoughts about interior design specifically being somewhat of frivolous spending, and with being with wanting to be of service
Yeah.
with our business and keeping that in mind.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a hard balance to want to sell and want to help other businesses if they are in a position to move forward on a project, but also, like you said, keep that sensitivity, that there is some unknown in the future, especially with other local businesses.
Yeah. Do you feel that kind of hesitation from the interior design on the commercial side, on the residential side, or both?
A little bit of both. I mean, the residential side, I think that focusing on exterior projects,
Yeah.
exterior home design and custom pieces for, like fire pits. We create awesome, beautiful custom fire pits, and how fun maybe that can brighten people's spirits right now, kind of looking to the future. Yeah. So maybe it is kind of just shifting my mindset about, what is necessity and what is not, and how to provide clients with like a little bit of that, light at the end of the tunnel feeling.
Absolutely. And do you do any, just remind me, do you do any virtual design services too, or are you all hands-on design?
No, we do virtual as well. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, my honest point of view on this, and I will tell you my experience with interior design at my house up in Washington. I hired an interior designer for the first time, and it was like, it changed my experience of living in a home. And I've never loved living in a home so much. Right now, more than ever, people are spending time in their homes. And the way that their home makes them feel is going to have a direct impact on their overall feeling.
Yeah, I
so
obviously 100%
who have
agree.
the financial ability to invest in interior design, and there's a lot of people who still do, who aren't, as impacted dramatically about this, or even if they just do a small project and have one room that's a safe space for them where they go and they can unwind, that is a huge service. Yeah. And not something that's frivolous at all.
Yeah, I agree. I do think that it's kind of that shifting of the mindset, and maybe, and coming into spring and realizing all the projects that can be done remotely and all the projects that can be done outside. So yeah. I think that those would be maybe good points to focus on right now.
Absolutely. So I would recommend, it sounds like you're already thinking of this, of brainstorming kind of that spring cleaning. What are all the projects that you could be helping people with virtually from the spring cleaning now that they have time and outdoors?
Yeah, definitely.
And this is important too, because what I'm worried about for business owners is if they pull back from selling completely, the impact isn't, most of us, our sales cycle isn't immediate. You don't meet somebody, someone sees you and they sign up to do services. There's conversations, they're thinking about it, there's proposals, there's negotiation. Would you guys both agree with that?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh, definitely, definitely, definitely.
And so if you stop having sales conversations now and there's no one that's in your pipeline, so to speak, it takes a long time to rebuild that pipeline.
That totally makes sense.
To think about when you're selling, you're not just selling for tomorrow, next week, next month, but you're selling for 2 months, 3 months, 6 months down the road. But you can be having those conversations now so that when things turn for people, you're not starting from scratch in terms of finding clients.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this has really helped me just kind of clarify my direction. With what we do book about 3 months out usually. So I am kind of looking towards that, that timeline and that pipeline that you mentioned. I think it's just more clarifying, what is appropriate to talk about right now. You know what I mean? And I think that this has helped me kind of define that and just how to approach people over the next, several weeks. I don't know, hopefully not too long that we're all doing this, but to keep that pipeline going and to keep people looking towards, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months down the line, like what you mentioned.
Yeah. And that's the other thing that I'm really recommending for people is that you absolutely should be selling now, but what you're selling and how you're selling it is going to probably need to pivot a little bit. You're going to need to adjust it to today's reality. So to your point, you're not going to be selling a hands-on metal project for an interior home that people are living in right now.
Exactly.
But if someone's in a vacation home and they haven't been there for 3 months and nobody's there and they're not renting it out right now, now might be the perfect time to be doing that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. So to think about what are the offerings. So think about long-term, the pipeline, and continuing to have those conversations, but short-term, what are the offerings that are in service of the reality that we live in today? And as you're having those conversations, you're going to attract more people to your broader audience as well. So I want to talk just now that we've kind of talked about how to discern if you should be selling or not, and focus on if you're going to sell, to your point, Celeste, how do you do it in a way where you're being sensitive to today's reality? So what are your guys' thoughts on that before I jump right in?
So one of the questions I do have,
I
don't want to veer from the topic, which may go into this, is pricing.
Yes.
Do you discount your pricing? Do you keep your pricing the same?
Yeah, that's a great question.
I have seen so many people in my industry slash their prices 80%, or direct message me saying, hey, now's a great time to take this XYZ course with me because I just slashed it 80%.
Yeah. My personal opinion is no.
I was hoping you would say that because it's just like, I have worked so hard to have what I feel is fair pricing and to not have to, I
think, so here's my honest take on how I feel about this is, for example, there are people where right now I could be of tremendous service to them and they can't afford to hire me. I can offer scholarships. I can offer let me just support you. Let me do one free call with you from a place of service because that's what I want to do. But it doesn't change my business model. That my business model and my pricing are still what my business models and pricing are. I don't think you should be raising your prices. So say, for example, wow, people are really on social media more now. People are more interested in social media marketing because they want to get in front of their customers while, this trend is happening. So I'm going to go ahead and double my prices, right? We don't want to.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that.
Right. Like be price gouging or opportunistic. But I do not think there's anything wrong with maintaining what you have decided is a profitable margin for your business. I think it is not in service to the economy and the greater good if people are pricing their services in a way that isn't sustainable, because that has an impact on how we get back on our feet again. And so if you feel called to serve people who are affected by this and can't afford those services, that's separate from your overall pricing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think
what?
I was like all three of us at once. Yeah, no, I think that makes a lot of sense. And I generally offer free consultations, and right now it's a great time to do like video consultations or even over the phone, whatever people are comfortable with. So I kind of feel what you're saying on that level. Like you can still find ways to offer that value and to be of service to your clients while they're bored at home, or want to escape their kids for 20 minutes and talk about something else, talk to another adult without self-sabotaging, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I think too, right? Like if you're like, maybe I want to offer something different than I've had that is a lower priced option where it's a one room refresh. Because people are spending more time at home, and I want them to feel like they have one room that they can go to if you don't have much of a budget, and you have the bandwidth to do that, and it fits within your time frame. You can create a lower priced offering specific to a target market around what's happening, and charge less for it because you're offering less.
Yeah, that is pretty much the model of our virtual design service as it stands. But I agree. I mean, coming up with an idea where it's, like you said, specifically maybe the virtual design, but for one space, one room. That's a great idea.
And maybe it's not like a full design. It's like, we're just going to do a walkthrough and we're going to use what you have. And I'm going to give you 3 suggestions on how to make your space more livable.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely a fun idea.
Right? So like to think about how do we pivot our offers where if we're going to offer something low price, it's still congruent with our pricing model based on what we're offering. But our core offering is our core offering. And that doesn't change. The one thing I want to say in terms about how to sell and how to have sales conversations is to first off, to have grace that none of us have been through a global pandemic before. So you might not get it right. You might put something out there in terms of in an email or a conversation, and then you think back on it and you're like, I didn't like the way that felt, or I didn't like the way that sounded. And I would do that differently. And that's totally okay. It's okay to not do it perfect. And doing it imperfect is better than not doing it at all. And to not be so scared of not saying the right thing that you don't say anything. Or being so scared of not saying it the right way that you stop saying it. The best piece of sales advice that I have ever gotten in my sales career was I had a mentor who said to me, what do you want to say to this prospect? Just, we're in the car, he's like, what do you really want to say to this person? What's going on with him? And I just said it, and he's like, say that. Oftentimes where we get in our own way with sales is we overthink what we want to say, and we try to make it sound so good that we lose that authenticity. So my recommendation is always, if you weren't worried about what you were going to say, what would you want to say? That's probably a really good place to start, and then just fine tune from there. Do you guys have thoughts or questions on that?
Not really. I think that's just great advice for life in general. We could all use that. That's very applicable in many avenues.
I will say, I think it's important to address what's going on right now with your clients and in your sales conversations. We're not ignorant to what's happening. I think for me, a lot of times the conversation is, I recognize that it might be hard right now to invest in your business, and I want you to run the numbers and make sure that, you're comfortable with it. And if you have the ability to do this, now is a more important time than ever to be looking at these things. And this is why. or Celeste, for your business, like we can offer flexible payment plans, but you might not ever have an opportunity where your business is already down, where you can come in and make these improvements without disrupting your business.
Yeah, absolutely.
And not to play on people's fears, right? Like how I say, like I differentiate that is if you don't do it now, you're never going to have the chance to do it. And you're going to go out of business when we reopen because your space isn't going to be amazing. Obviously, you're not going to do that. But that's kind of, you know, being conscientious of addressing what's happening versus creating what's happening as a fear tactic to try and get people to make a decision from fear.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I always say that probably goes without saying for anyone who's on a call or teaching with me, but I think it's just worth mentioning. Do you have specific questions, Celeste or Shannon, on how to message what you might be selling right now or what you want to be selling in today's landscape?
I feel like you answered that for me.
I think you got it. I got to run though. So I just wanted to say thank you for this.
Thank you, Shannon.
I'm doing a TikTok training at 6. So I got to go.
Awesome. Oh, I got to learn TikTok.
Do you want to? I could send you the link.
Send me the link.
I'll send you the link.
Get it out of it.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thanks for doing this, Christy. I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.
The last point that I wanted to make that can help with these discernments is to look out into the marketplace and just notice, who do you see that is selling right now? And then notice, who do you see that is selling that you feel like is doing it poorly? And who do you see that is selling that is doing it well? And then what can you take from what they're doing? Do you have any examples of someone that you feel like is selling right now and doing it well?
No, not really. I feel like I haven't seen anyone doing much selling.
Yeah.
And that's why I have, that's why I don't, no.
I'm going to see, I'm just going to scroll through Facebook and see if I, I'll tell you like one that I just thought was really like not well. The other way is there's a makeup brand and they're basically for VIP members, 25% off. And I felt like, just send it to your VIP members then.
Right.
Like it just felt like kind of not appropriate for the time.
They're really announcing everyone like who isn't a VIP.
Right. And I'm like, I meant to get people to sign up for a VIP, but there was no sense of compassion or not that, right? Like, I think just not even saying that at all would have been better than trying to make an offer that felt kind of like, I don't know, awkward, even in the best of times. And I think people are just more sensitive to that. Like, what?
Sure.
I'm trying to think of something, a good example. I'm going to think on it and then I'll email if I think of some good examples, but just really pay attention the next day or two of where you see people selling. Like if you get an email, if you get a phone call, if you see a Facebook ad that you're like, ooh, I really don't like that. Ask yourself why. And then if you see one that you're like, hey, I thought that was really well done. Ask yourself why. Like, what was it that you liked about it? Because you can take that and incorporate it into your own messaging.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. So I just want to wrap up and say thank you for being here. Thank you, Shannon, for showing up. How can I support you right now, Celeste?
Oh, goodness. I mean, I think, social media shares are always fantastic. Or, just keeping us in mind if you do talk to other people who, have maybe been thinking about a project. Maybe it's a backyard pergola or a fire pit or a handrail, or, maybe it's a small office space and they just, want it to be a little refreshed for when they are back at work. Yeah, I mean, I think if people are online posting about needing certain services related to metalworking or interiors, of course, like tagging us would be awesome as well.
Can you send me the link to your business?
Absolutely, yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. What about you? What can I do? I went and liked your page
Perfect. No, my
on
biggest thing
Facebook.
is I am so passionate right now that about this idea that as business owners, we have an obligation right now to keep showing up for
Mm-hmm.
our customers, for our clients, to keep building our businesses, to not just say times are hard, things are scary, I'm taking a break.
Yeah.
That is the opposite of what our economy needs. That's the opposite of what our community needs. It's the opposite of what our customers need. So honestly, like the best thing that you can do is continue to go out and talk to your customers, continue to go out and talk to prospects, be mindful of those pivots and shifts, both in your offerings and your messaging,
Mm-hmm.
but to not disengage. And then if there's anything I can do to support, or if you feel like that, some other business owners that are maybe kind of taking that just, I don't want to do anything approach, but you feel
Yeah.
like they thinking through those questions that they have a product or service that people can benefit from right now, have them go like the Time to Profit page, or there's actually a Time to Profit group too that's open to the public.
Yeah. Yeah, I will. I do know that this was shared, I believe, in the Bend Boss Babes
Yeah.
group, and that's how I saw it, found you. So yeah,
Perfect.
I think that there's a lot of small businesses out there right now that are overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So, I think that what we talked about today is going to be on people's minds in the coming weeks, especially if, this continues on for, through April.
And I'm going to
So
send
yeah,
out an
it's
audio
great to
recording.
have a
What?
place to, I'm sorry.
Oh,
It's
no.
great to have a place to direct people,
Yeah, absolutely.
other overwhelmed business owners. So I will absolutely be doing that when I can.
Perfect. Yeah, and I'm going to send out a copy of the recording, so feel free to share that as well. Just pass it
Great.
along if you think there's someone that could benefit from hearing it.
Yeah, I'm sure there are.
And I'm excited to meet you in person in, 2 weeks, 2 months, who knows?
Yeah, that would be wonderful. I would enjoy it.
Thanks so much for hopping on and for sharing your insights too.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for your time and, organizing this today. It was great.
Awesome. Have a great rest of the day.
You too.
Bye.